you said yes again you didn't want to, but you said it anyway. That dinner you couldn't afford to go to, that favor you didn't have time for, that opinion you swallowed whole because the room wouldn't like it. You smiled, nodded, and died a little inside. And here's what gets you. It's not that you said yes. It's that you've been doing it so long, you forgot what your own no sounds like. You're at lunch with people you half know, and someone suggests plans you don't want. Your mouth opens. The word sure falls out before your brain even votes. And on the drive home, you grip the steering wheel and you feel it. That's sinking. Not anger, not sadness, just the quiet ache of being erased by yourself. You think you're being kind. You think you're keeping the peace. But if you're honest, really honest, you're not being kind. You're being afraid. Afraid of the look on their face, the silence after you push back, the group chat you won't be added to. And every time you pick their comfort over your own truth, you lose a little more of yourself. Not dramatically, just quietly, like a signal fading out. That's exactly what The Courage to be Disliked is about. A book by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga, built on the psychology of Alfred Adler, and it makes one claim that will wreck the way you see every relationship you've ever been in. Most people live like their past is a verdict. Something happened to you, and now you wear it like an eyed badge you can't take off. Strict parents, a rough school year, that one thing someone said in 7th grade that you still hear in your own voice when you mess up, and you use it. Not sometimes, every day. You use it to explain why you can't speak up in meetings, why you let people cross the line, why you stay in jobs and friendships that stopped fitting years ago. You're sitting at your desk right now, and there's a task you've been avoiding, not because it's hard, but because it involves pushing back on someone, and somewhere in the back of your head, a voice says, "You're not the type." That voice has been running the show since you were 15, but Adler's framework flips that completely. Your past doesn't cause your present. You use your past to justify your present. And those are two very different things. You're not anxious because of what happened at that party 3 years ago. You decided to be anxious, and you keep replaying that moment to prove the decision was already made. The memory isn't the engine, it's the alibi, and the moment you hear that, something cracks open. Because if the past isn't doing this to you, then you're doing it to yourself. And if you're doing it to yourself, then the lock was never on the door. It was in your hand. You're standing in the bathroom before a work event, looking at the mirror, running through what you'll say if someone talks to you. You've done this 100 times, and every time you tell yourself it's because you're just like that. Introverted, awkward, not built for rooms like this. But what if you're not just like that? What if you chose it, and the story you keep telling yourself is just the receipt you saved to make the purchase feel final? Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Every problem you think you have isn't really about you, it's about other people. That knot in your stomach before a meeting isn't about the work, it's about being judged. That guilt you feel for taking a Saturday to do absolutely nothing isn't about laziness, it's about what they'll think. You're lying on the couch on a Sunday afternoon, phone face down on the cushion, doing nothing, and there's this low hum of shame. Not because rest is wrong, but because you can already hear the question, "What'd you do this weekend?" And nothing doesn't sound good enough. So you scroll for something to say, something that sounds productive. Even your self-esteem, that thing you think belongs only to you, isn't private at all. It's a comparison. You measure yourself against your coworker's promotion, your friend's engagement post, that stranger's 5am gym video while you're still under the blanket with the alarm on snooze for the 3rd time. Adler called this the root of all human suffering. Not money, not health, not purpose, people. And the reason it stings is because you've spent years trying to fix yourself, when the real problem was how much power you kept handing to everyone else, quietly, willingly, every single day. So if every problem traces back to someone else's opinion of you, how do you stop drowning in it? One concept, maybe the most useful concept in the entire book, separation of tasks. What someone thinks of you is their task, not yours. Whether your boss values your effort, whether your parents approve of your career path, Whether that person you're seeing texts you back tonight, all of it, their task. You can't earn it, you can't control it, and you definitely can't manufacture it by being perfect. Your only task is to act according to what you believe is right, and then let the chips fall. Right now, you're probably holding your phone, and there's a message you've rewritten twice because the first version sounded too honest. You're editing your own words, not to be clearer, but to be safer. That's you doing their task. You're trying to control how they'll react before they've even read it. And that voice in your head says, just soften it, it's not worth the trouble. But it is worth the trouble, because the exhaustion you feel at the end of the day, the one that doesn't match your workload, isn't from what you did. It's from carrying everyone else's reactions like they were your weight. Separation of tasks says put them down. Not because you don't care, but because their response was never your job in the first place. Picture your morning tomorrow. You wake up, check your phone, and there's a message. Before you've even read the words, your chest tightens. Because you already know it's from someone whose approval you've been managing for months. What if you just read it, responded honestly, and moved on? No rehearsal, no chess match, just the truth and whatever comes after. That's what separation of tasks feels like in practice. Not cold, not careless, just free. And here's the sentence most people skip past, because it's the scariest line in the book. Freedom is being disliked, not risking it, not tolerating it, being it. If everyone around you agrees with everything you say, if nobody pushes back, nobody gives you that look across the table, you're not free, you're a hostage. Performing a character that keeps everyone comfortable, and every single performance costs you a piece of the person who actually wants to live. Think about the last time you spoke your real opinion, not the softened version, not the one wrapped in I could be wrong, but the raw one. Your hands might have been shaking, your voice might have cracked. That flush in your chest, that heartbeat in your ears, that's not danger. That's freedom, trying to get out through the one door you keep locked. When was the last time you let it through? When was the last time you said something knowing it wouldn't land well, and said it anyway? And yes, some people will walk away. Some will judge you over dinner. Some will never text first again. And here's what Kishimi and Koga would tell you, good, because the people who stay after they've heard the real you are the only ones who were ever really there. But this isn't a book about becoming cold, or untouchable, or alone. And this is where most people get it wrong. After you stop living for approval, you don't retreat. You step into something Adler called community, feeling. The sense that you belong, not because people like you, but because you contribute, not to earn points, not so someone notices, because that's where real belonging actually lives. You're at work, and you help a coworker with something they didn't ask for help with. Nobody sees it. Nobody claps. And for a second you feel something warm. Not pride, not a performance high, just connection, quiet, almost easy to miss. That feeling is the entire point. You're cooking dinner, nothing fancy, and you make a plate for someone without being asked. No announcement, no photo, just the act, and something in your chest settles, like a door finally closing behind you. The irony cuts deep. The moment you stop trying to be liked, you become the kind of person people actually want around. Not because you're performing, but because you're present. You show up as yourself, give what you can, and let people decide what they think. That's not weakness. That's the strongest thing you'll ever do. And it starts with one shift. Stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, am I useful? Not useful like a tool. Useful like a person who makes the room better just by being honest in it. That's belonging. Not earned through applause, but built through showing up. Here's what you can do this week. Step 1. Pick one situation today where you'd normally say yes to keep the peace. Say no. Don't apologize for it. Don't cushion it. Just say, I can't do that, and let the silence sit. Notice what happens in your body when you hold your ground. Step 2. Write down one belief about yourself that starts with, I've always been, cross it out. Write what you want to be instead underneath it. Tape it where you'll see it before your first coffee tomorrow morning. Step 3. The next time you feel tightness before a conversation, pause. Ask one question. Whose task is this? If the answer is theirs, respond based on what you believe is true, not what lands smoothly, not what keeps peace, what's honest. Step 4. Do one thing for someone this week with zero expectation of credit. Don't post about it, don't bring it up, contribute, and walk away. Notice how that feels compared to the last thing you did because you wanted to be seen. You spent years building a version of yourself that other people would accept, and you know it. You know it because you can feel the gap. The gap between who you are at 2 a.m. when nobody's watching and who you are at noon when everyone is. That gap is where your energy goes. That's where your confidence leaks, where your real voice gets buried. And you've told yourself the gap is normal, that everyone puts on a face, that it's just how people work. But it's not normal. It's expensive. It costs you every honest conversation you didn't have, every opinion you swallowed, every friendship built on a version of you that doesn't exist. This book doesn't ask you to become someone new. It asks you to stop pretending to be someone you're not. Stop doing their task. Start doing yours. And trust that the people who matter will still be standing there when the mask comes off, not because you earned them, not because you were polished enough, because you finally let them see something real. You don't need everyone to understand. You don't need anyone's permission. You just need to stop editing yourself for people who never asked you to be perfect in the first place. The courage to be disliked isn't about being reckless. It's about being whole. And that starts the next time someone asks you what you think, and you actually tell them one honest word at a time.